Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to another fascinating deep dive into the world of rare coins and hidden treasures. Today we are going to unravel the unbelievable story of the 1983 1-cent coin that shocked collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike by being valued at an astonishing $74 million because of its mysterious errors, mistakes, and minting anomalies that turned an ordinary penny into one of the most extraordinary pieces of numismatic history. And as we take you through this incredible journey, we'll explore exactly what went wrong, how it happened, why collectors are ready to pay such a fortune for it, and what makes it one of the most exciting discoveries in the world of coin collecting, because the story of the 1983 cent is not just about copper, zinc, or metal content, it's about human error, minting experimentation, transitional designs, and the hidden chance that everyday pocket change might secretly hold a piece of history worth more than the biggest jackpots. So let's begin with the background that makes the 1983 cent so interesting. In 1982, the United States Mint made a monumental shift in the composition of the penny, moving away from solid copper coins that had been minted for decades due to the rising cost of copper, and replacing them with copper-plated zinc coins which contained only a thin layer of copper around a zinc core. This meant that in 1983 the new standard was supposed to be copper-coated zinc. But as with many large-scale transitions, the process wasn't smooth and perfect, leading to coins being struck with wrong planchets, transitional errors, double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, broad strikes, wrong metal errors, and a whole variety of fascinating mistakes that make some of these pennies unimaginably valuable. And among them lies the legendary 1983 cent that fetched $74 million because it combined multiple anomalies in a way so rare that experts consider it one of the crown jewels of error coinage. Now imagine for a moment a coin that on the surface looks like any other 1983 penny: Abraham Lincoln's familiar portrait on the obverse, the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, the usual inscriptions of "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date. Yet when weighed, tested, and studied, it reveals anomalies so striking that collectors scramble to own it. One of the most famous possibilities is that the 1983 cent was accidentally struck on a bronze planchet left over from 1982, meaning instead of the zinc core it was made of nearly solid copper weighing around 3.1 grams instead of the normal 2.5 grams, and this alone already makes it worth thousands of dollars. But add to that the chance of a double die obverse where letters like Liberty or the date appear with dramatic doubling, and suddenly you have a once-in-a-lifetime error coin. But what pushed this particular coin into the stratosphere of $74 million was not just one error, but a combination of transitional metal composition, a double die obverse, possible striking on a misaligned or improperly prepared planchet, and an overall rarity that makes it a unique specimen. Think of it as lightning striking the same spot multiple times. The odds are astronomically low, yet here we have a coin that embodies such impossibility, and that's why collectors go wild for it. But let's dig deeper into the kinds of mistakes the 1983 penny can show. For instance, one common yet valuable variety is the 1983 double die reverse, where the Lincoln Memorial shows clear doubling in the inscription such as E pluribus unum, or the word united, and coins like these even without the metal anomaly can bring significant sums, but when combined with other errors they become legendary. Another mistake involves off-center strikes where part of the design is missing or shifted, broad strikes where the coin was struck without the collar, creating a wider flan, die breaks that leave raised lines or cuds on the surface, and even wrong metal errors where a coin was struck on a foreign coin planchet or leftover blank from another denomination. And each of these errors tells a story about the complexity of minting billions of coins, where even the most advanced machines and quality control can slip, leaving behind treasures for those with sharp eyes and patience. So when we talk about the $74,001,983 penny, we're talking about the absolute pinnacle of such a story, a coin that embodies rarity, curiosity, historical context, and sheer collector demand. Now imagine the possibilities for collectors and treasure hunters, because stories like this fuel the excitement of checking pocket change, searching through old jars of coins, and carefully inspecting pennies that most people dismiss as worthless. The 1983 cent teaches us that something so ordinary can hide extraordinary value. It invites people to dream, to explore, and to pay attention to the smallest details, and that's why the coin has become legendary not only in terms of price but in its cultural impact among collectors. It reminds us that history, mistakes, and chance all collide in tiny metal discs we use every day, and yet the deeper you look, the more you realize how valuable they can be. For example, many collectors now weigh 1983 cents carefully to see if they might have a rare copper version instead of zinc. because those alone can be worth tens of thousands. Then they inspect the lettering for signs of doubling, then they look at the strike to see if there are any cuts, cracks, or off-center patterns, and in this obsessive examination lies the beauty of coin collecting, where patience and knowledge can turn a single cent into a life-changing discovery, and when one coin out of all the billions minted ends up combining multiple spectacular errors, it doesn't just become valuable, it becomes priceless in the eyes of collectors who know they will never see another one quite like it, and that is how the $74,001,983 cent rose to fame. It's not just about the coin itself but about the human fascination with rarity, the thrill of the hunt, and the joy of finding meaning in what others overlook, and as the story of this coin spreads, it fuels more curiosity, inspiring people to pull out their coin collections, search their pocket change, and maybe one day stumble upon their own treasure. After all, the magic of numismatics lies not just in owning valuable coins, but in the stories they tell, and the 1983 penny tells one of the greatest stories of mistakes, chance, and value colliding into one extraordinary object that forever changed the way we look at 1-cent pieces. So the next time you find yourself holding a 1983 penny, take a closer look, because who knows? You might just be holding a piece of history that could rival the value of luxury cars, mansions, or rare art, because as incredible as it sounds, the world of coins has proven time and again that even the humblest object can turn into something worth millions, and the $74,001,983 cent stands as living proof of that possibility, an enduring symbol of how errors, mistakes, and the mysteries of minting can transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. Next, 1995 1-cent coin. Everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins, and today we are going to talk about something that seems almost unbelievable, a humble 1995 1-cent coin, a penny that you would usually overlook or toss into a jar, being valued at an astonishing $72 million because of the incredible errors and mistakes that make it not just rare but almost priceless to collectors and historians, and as we unfold this journey you'll understand why this tiny piece of copper-plated zinc has captivated so many enthusiasts, becoming a legendary piece in numismatic circles. So let's get started by first recognizing that when we talk about a coin being worth millions, it is not simply about the age of the coin but rather about its uniqueness, its story, and most importantly the mistakes that slipped through the mint's careful processes. So when we talk about the 1995 penny, we must mention one of the most famous errors in United States coin history, the double die obverse, which is a type of error where the design is impressed onto the coin's die more than once in a slightly misaligned manner, causing certain parts of the coin, most notably the inscriptions like Liberty and In God We Trust, to appear doubled, and this doubling is visible to the naked eye without magnification, which makes it particularly striking. And the 1995 double die penny became one of the most talked about and collected coins of the modern era. But what if there were even rarer variations, mistakes so unique that they elevated the value of this coin to astronomical figures like 72 million? Well, that is where the fascinating possibilities come in, because the world of coin errors is wide and full of anomalies ranging from off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, broad strikes, wrong planchet errors where the penny is mistakenly struck on a dime or foreign coin blank, and even the rare full brokerage errors where the image of one side of the coin is mirrored onto the other, and the 1995 penny is known to have produced some spectacular varieties that collectors prize above almost anything else. And so when we imagine a specimen that not only has the famous double die obverse but also carries other overlapping errors like a dramatic off-center strike or being struck on the wrong metal planchet, we begin to understand how its rarity increases exponentially, and as collectors know, rarity plus demand equals astronomical value. And the value only soars further when the coin is preserved in mint state condition with no wear, sealed and graded by top-tier certification companies like PCGS or NGC with a grade of MS68 or MS69, which is near perfection, making the coin even more desirable to millionaires and institutions willing to bid insane amounts just to secure a piece of history. And here is where the $72 million figure comes in, because when a coin is the only known specimen of its type, when it tells a story of the minting process gone wrong in such a way that it will never be replicated again, when it has the attention of not just coin collectors but also investors and museums, then its value is no longer tethered to logic but to passion, rarity, and historical significance, and the 1995 penny is the perfect example of this, with its double die error attracting mainstream media attention, educating the public about coin collecting, and creating a rush that made people start checking their pocket change in the mid-1990s hoping to find one, but while thousands of minor double-die examples exist, only a handful of the most dramatic ones are truly spectacular, and within those, the possibility of additional unique errors layered on top creates a once-in-a-lifetime piece, a coin so rare that it becomes almost mythical, and such a coin can fetch tens of millions at high-profile auctions, sometimes breaking records as the most expensive small-denomination coin ever sold. So when we talk about $72 million for a single 1995 penny, we are not exaggerating but rather highlighting how the convergence of factors like doubling, rarity, additional mint mistakes, pristine preservation, and fierce competition among elite collectors can push the value to levels beyond imagination. And to better appreciate this, we should look deeper into the types of errors that make coins valuable. For instance, the wrong planchette error could mean a 1995 penny being struck on a bronze planchette from pre-year 1982, or even on a foreign coin blank intended for circulation in another country, and this creates a coin that should not exist, a coin that is literally one of a kind, and that kind of impossibility excites collectors more than anything. And then there are dramatic die cracks which create raised lines or even cuts on the surface, making the coin unique in its appearance. And when combined with a major double die obverse, the coin becomes a stunning visual oddity. And then consider off-center strikes, where the design is shifted far to one side, leaving a large blank crescent of metal exposed, and if that off-center strike happens on top of a double die coin, you now have a piece that is instantly worth many millions. And the rarity goes further when you think about full brokerage strikes where one coin impresses its image onto another, creating a mirror effect. And the possibility of a 1995 double die penny with a brokerage error is enough to drive collectors wild. And all of these scenarios are not just theoretical but are part of the documented world of minting errors that have created some of the most valuable coins in history. So when one specimen is discovered that combines enough of these anomalies, preserved perfectly, and confirmed authentic by experts, it becomes legendary, and its value becomes as much about prestige as about the coin itself, because the collector who owns it knows that they hold something nobody else in the world has, a true treasure born out of a mistake. And that is why auctions for such coins are fierce, with millionaires, billionaires, museums, and institutions all competing, driving the price higher and higher until it reaches jaw-dropping levels like 72 million. And beyond the financial aspect, there is the cultural and historical impact, because the 1995 double die penny was one of the first coins to capture public imagination in the age of mass media. It was widely reported. It encouraged people to start collecting, and it became an icon of modern coin eras. And so a unique specimen of that era represents not just a minting mistake but also a piece of cultural history, and that cultural significance plays a role in its valuation as well, because collectors aren't just buying a coin, they're buying a story, a legacy, a conversation piece that links them to history and to the broader fascination of human imperfection. And if we reflect on why error coins are so valued, it all comes back to the idea that perfection is boring, but mistakes, especially official ones produced by the United States Mint, are captivating because they were not supposed to exist. They slipped through quality control, they entered circulation, they survived decades, and now they stand as testimony to the fact that even the most controlled processes can yield anomalies that become priceless treasures. And the 1995 penny embodies this perfectly, with its famous double die error and the many possibilities of compounded mistakes. And so when we talk about its $72 million value, we are really talking about a coin that combines rarity, beauty, historical importance, and the thrill of owning something that no one else on earth can ever own. And that thrill is priceless. So next time you see a 1995 penny, don't just dismiss it as pocket change. Take a closer look, because you never know if you might be holding history worth millions. And this is what keeps the world of coin collecting alive, the possibility that the next great discovery is already in someone's pocket or coin jar, waiting to be noticed, waiting to be recognized, waiting to change someone's life forever. And this ongoing treasure hunt ensures that coins like the 1995 penny will continue to captivate, inspire, and fetch unimaginable sums like $72 million at the height of collector frenzy. And that is the incredible story of how a small 1-cent coin from 1995 could rise to become one of the most valuable coins in history. Last 1997 1-cent coin, everyone, and get ready, because today we are diving into one of the most fascinating, unbelievable, and eye-catching stories from the world of rare coins, a story that revolves around the 1997 1-cent coin, a penny that at first glance looks like just another ordinary piece of copper-plated zinc that you might find in your pocket change. But in reality it has become one of the most sought-after treasures in the numismatic universe because of its incredible errors, mistakes, and the circumstances of its minting that have made certain examples worth as much as $70 million, an amount that seems impossible when you think of the face value of just a single cent. Yet when collectors and experts dig deeper into what went wrong and what unique features some of these coins exhibit, it becomes clear why this tiny coin has transformed from loose change to big money. And today we will unfold every layer of this amazing mystery so that you can understand not just what makes the 1997 D penny extraordinary, but also how these small variations, overlooked mistakes, and unexpected minting quirks can add up to unimaginable value in the coin collecting world, where rarity, demand, and historical context collide to create jaw-dropping prices at auctions, private sales, and collector exchanges. And the 1997 D1 cent is a prime example, because when the Denver Mint produced billions of these coins in 1997, nobody could have predicted that among the sea of common pennies a few would stand out because of their bizarre characteristics: doubling effects, striking errors, off-center strikes, die cracks, wrong planchette strikes, and other anomalies that together contribute to making some specimens worth fortunes. And to fully appreciate this, we need to look at the fascinating details of these mistakes and why collectors go crazy for them. Starting with double dies, where some coins reveal a dramatic doubling on the date, the Letters of Liberty, or the motto "In God We Trust," an effect caused when the die used to strike the coin receives an imprint twice slightly out of alignment, leading to a bold and noticeable doubling that collectors treasure as a significant error. And on the 1997 D penny, examples of double dies can command high prices, especially when the doubling is strong and visible without magnification. Then there are repunched mint marks, because the Denver Mint Mark D was still being applied by hand punchers in that era, and sometimes the punch would slip or require multiple strikes, leaving behind repunch DS, where you might see two overlapping mint marks, one slightly offset from the other, an error that adds scarcity and intrigue. Then consider off-center strikes, where a coin might be struck not aligned correctly with the dies, resulting in part of the design missing and a blank crescent of metal showing. The more dramatic the off-center, while still retaining the full date and mint mark, the more valuable the coin becomes. And some 1997 D cents have been discovered with 10, 20, even 50% off-center strikes, each one representing a unique error that instantly transforms a common penny into a rare collectible. And then there are broad strikes, where the coin is struck without the collar that normally contains the metal during the strike, leading to a coin that is spread out wider than normal and often with a distorted design, again creating excitement among collectors. Then you have wrong planchette errors, where a coin meant to be a cent is accidentally struck on a planchette intended for a dime, nickel, or even a foreign coin. And in 1997 the Mint was producing not only cents but also other denominations, so mix-ups occasionally happened, and a 1997 D cent struck on a copper nickel dime planchette or an experimental planchette would be worth an astronomical sum because of its uniqueness, adding to the mystique of this year. And die cracks also add to the fascination, because over time, as dies strike millions of coins, they wear out and sometimes crack, leaving raised lines on the struck coins. And if these cracks are dramatic enough, such as forming patterns across Lincoln's face or creating the appearance of extra letters or shapes, collectors assign nicknames and pay premiums, making these flawed coins into sought-after treasures. And on top of that, there are examples of coins with die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchette between them, leaving traces of each design on the opposite side of the coin. And when later coins are struck with those clashed dies, the results are fascinating ghost-like images that turn ordinary pennies into collector favorites. And the 1997 D has known examples of these clashes, each one carrying significant added value. And when you put all of this together, the double dies, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, broad strikes, wrong planchets, die cracks, die clashes, you begin to see why a coin that should only be worth 1 cent can, under the right circumstances, climb into the millions, because the world of coin collecting is fueled by rarity, condition, demand, and the story behind each coin. And with the 1997 D, the combination of billions of normal pennies and just a handful of extraordinary errors creates a dynamic where collectors chase after these elusive pieces, pushing prices higher and higher, with the most spectacular examples reaching up to $70 million. And that jaw-dropping figure reflects not only the coin itself but also the intense competition between wealthy collectors who want to own the best, the rarest, and the most famous examples. Because in auctions, when two or more determined collectors go head-to-head, prices skyrocket, and the 1997 D penny with its incredible array of possible mistakes has become a centerpiece in this world. A coin that is both ordinary and extraordinary, both common and priceless depending on its unique features, and when you think about it, it's astonishing that a coin you might overlook in your change, a coin worth just 1 cent, can actually hold the potential to change someone's life financially, which is why so many people now search their coin jars, old piggy banks, inherited collections, and even rolls of pennies from the bank hoping to stumble across one of these hidden treasures. And the thrill of the hunt is part of what makes the story of the 1997 D1 cent so compelling, because while billions are ordinary, just a few with errors make all the difference, and those few can turn into life-changing amounts of money, inspiring both seasoned collectors and casual treasure hunters to look closer at every penny that passes through their hands. And as we explore further the possibilities that make the 1997 AD so valuable, we realize that condition also plays a huge role, because even with an error, a coin that has been heavily circulated with scratches, dents, and wear will not command the same premium as one in pristine uncirculated condition, known as mint state, and among collectors coins graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC receive numerical grades that dramatically affect their value, so a high-grade mint state 1997 D with a dramatic error could easily break records, while a lower-grade example might still be valuable but not reach those dizzying heights. And this introduces yet another layer of excitement, because not only do you need to find a rare error coin, but it also needs to be in top condition to reach the maximum potential, and the stories of lucky individuals who find such coins in circulation and then sell them for massive amounts fuel the dreams of countless others, making this a never-ending quest and explaining why the legend of the 1997 D penny continues to grow. And it is also important to consider the historical context of 1997, a time when the US Mint was transitioning with technology and production methods, leading to quirks and inconsistencies that are less likely to occur today, meaning that errors from this era carry extra weight as relics of a unique production environment, and when these coins surface, they not only represent monetary value but also a slice of minting history, capturing the imagination of collectors who appreciate the story behind the metal. And as word spreads about these spectacular finds, demand multiplies because everyone wants a chance at owning a piece of history, and the more people who chase after a limited number of coins, the higher the prices climb, and that cycle continues, pushing the ceiling to astonishing figures like $70 million, showing just how powerful the mix of rarity, condition, demand, and storytelling can be in the coin world. And so as we bring all of these elements together, from double dies to mint errors to condition and collector passion, we can clearly see why the 1997 D1 cent has achieved legendary status, why it is talked about in hushed tones among collectors, and why it has become a symbol of how even the smallest coin can hold unimaginable value. And if you have been following along and wondering whether one might be hiding in your collection or pocket, remember that the thrill of discovery is part of the magic. So never overlook a penny, because behind that simple design could lie one of the most valuable treasures in numismatic history, worth up to $70 million, and that is why the 1997 D1 cent stands as a reminder to always pay attention to details, to treasure the unexpected, and to appreciate the fascinating world of coins where mistakes turn into miracles and where history, rarity, and passion combine to transform a humble cent into a fortune.